So we're going to talk a little bit about encoding success and how to help our athletes progress in their skills acquisition. So this goes along with the saying that perfect practice makes perfect, which we've all heard a lot. And that's the idea that if you want to get better, you have to practice at a really high level and you have to practice things the right way rather than doing them the wrong way and practicing with too many flaws, because we're never actually going to practice, perfectly, but at least try and get as close as you can without too many flaws in there. So the bottom line here is that we want to challenge and stretch our players without breaking them and without programming flaws and poor mechanics. Therefore, we need to take them to their threshold. We have to figure out what their threshold is, take them there, and then scale it back just a notch to where they're in this zone where they're being challenged and they're being stretched and they're having to step outside of their comfort zone and be uncomfortable and practice in that space, but without stretching them to the point where they're starting to break down or make too many mistakes and actually regress or stay, in the same place with their skills. And that's obviously going to depend a lot on the athlete and where their skills are at. So the best that we can, we have to be able to individualize our practice and our drills in order to stretch each player to that optimal zone where they're being challenged, but we're not breaking them. So let's give an example and look at infielders, for instance. Infielders have to be able to master their basic form fielding mechanics. And that means that for some athletes, they're going to have to start off and stay at, possibly for a while, just fielding a stationary ball drills in order to master those fundamental mechanics, those form fielding mechanics. For other athletes, that's going to progress more rapidly to where they're fielding ground balls that are, bullets hit at them. And we shouldn't move a player forward or progress them until they're mastering that skill that we're at. Because if we do move them ahead too quickly, they're going to regress and they're not going to stay in that skills acquisition progression that we're looking for. For hitters, this might mean staying on the batting tee or doing dry swings until they start mastering a skill or a mechanic. For other hitters, that's going to mean hitting off of 90 plus mile an hour pitching, something that's going to challenge them and stretch them to get better. But we always want to take our athletes to that point where they're about to break, but they're not breaking. They're being challenged, but they're still able to encode or program success by doing the right stuff over and over and over. Probably, I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's definitely one of my favorite sayings when it comes to coaching or being an athlete is don't practice something until you get it right. Practice it until you can't get it wrong. And that's what we're looking for with our athletes. Practice something, stay at that level until they've shown that they've mastered it. Now, that's going to depend on the drill. For instance, if we're doing a form fielding drill with a slow roller, where the ball's being, rolled really slowly to them from 15 or 20 feet away, that means pretty much 100% perfect mechanics on that form fielding. If they start breaking down, then we got to keep doing it until they're at around 100%. If we're hitting off a batting tee, there's really no pressure when we're hitting off a batting tee. And that means that to encode success, we need to be at a really high percentage of great swings. If we're hitting off of 90 plus mile an hour per hour live pitching, well, obviously that, percentage that we're looking for is going to be varied. So again, the idea here is stay at the drill that we're at and stay there, be comfortable with staying there until that athlete shows that they've mastered or they've met your criteria for what encoding success is at that particular skill.